What is up, metalheads? Welcome to another episode of FN5 and part 2 of our top 5 Disney animated films. Today we are covering 1968 to 1994, what we are calling the post-Disney era. This covers the Bronze Age and the start of the Disney Renaissance. Can't say that I had a great time last time, and this time's probably going to be even better. With me is my co-host of Nostalgia Goggles and the man who really helped me get these lists together and who is really upset that he wasn't able to be in the classics, but he's glad he could be here for at least the halfway point. That is Jeremy the Adam Adams. Jeremy, how you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, unfortunately, I was under the weather when we did the first match, and that hurt. But, I'm really excited to be here for this one because I'm a little bit of an older guy. A lot of people joke about it. And these are actually, we're going to be talking about some of the movies that came out when I was actually a young kid. So they're very close to my heart. And, a huge Disney fan, and I love this era. So this is going to be fun.
Absolutely. And also joining us tonight, first off, we have my partner in crime over in There Will Be Trivia, the dude in Ranger Dudes. That is Andrew Hayes. How you feeling, Andrew?
I'm feeling great. While I'm a lot younger than Jeremy, I did grow up with a lot of these films, so I'm very excited to see what happens.
All right, and another person who is very familiar to this format, going down the list, probably the only person who was specifically like, I want in on this era. And that is Cody Newberry. How you feeling, Cody?
I'm feeling fantastic. There's one movie in particular. It's pretty much changed my life when I saw it. So if there's going to be tears on this panel, it would probably come from me if this one gets shot down. But I don't think it will.
All right. Well, here's hoping everyone comes in with that one movie. And joining us for the very first time, brand new to Full Metal, he'll also be having his first match later tonight. And that is Dominic Rizzi. Dominic, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I love Disney movies, and I'm just happy to be here and be included. This is kind of an underrated decade when it comes to Disney movies overall, but I'm just happy to throw in my 2 cents.
Absolutely. And with that, let's get started, gentlemen. So, of course, we start with the first round where if you're new or you haven't been joining us, just to go through it, the first round is going to be where we will nominate a movie that we think should at least be considered for the top 5 until we get a list of 7 movies. We will go around the proverbial table. Someone will say the movie they need, and then it needs a 2/3 vote whether or not it should make the consideration list. So since he was sick last time, I do want to start this off with Jeremy. I want to see if he's going to go for a hard choice or an obvious choice. So Jeremy, what is the first movie that you think needs to be considered for this list?
I'm not going to beat around the bush, man. I'm going to go with one of the big ones. I'm going to go with the movie that really cemented the return of Disney in the Renaissance era. This is a movie that I was around, like I say, when it hit, and it was so massive. It was the first animated film ever nominated for Best Picture. It had some of the greatest songs that we've ever seen in a Disney movie, and it just is one of the all-time greats, and it is Beauty and the Beast from 1991. It's had such a lasting impact on Disney fans that they did a live-action version of it, as well as a Broadway musical in the 90s. I think this is a movie that this particular telling of this particular story is something that's going to live forever. And I think whenever you return to this movie, it's always just going to be as entertaining and as moving and as awesome as it always was. To me, it's like the greatest Disney fairy tale film. So I'm going to nominate first right off the bat, Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
All right, that puts Beauty and the Beast on the board. So let's go ahead and go to Andrew first. Andrew, does Beauty and the Beast make the consideration list?
I think it does because, the fact that it did something that, to that point, no other animated film has done to be nominated for Best Picture. It just truly, I guess, shows how great it is. And, I just completely agree with what Jeremy said.
All right, so that's 2 votes for Beauty and the Beast. Cody, are you going to be the final deciding vote, or do you think Beauty and the Beast should stay off?
This movie is so overrated. Just kidding.
He always does that.
There was 2 options for what I would have suggested. One is my favorite movie, but this one, I agree with everything Jeremy said. This movie, it holds up so well that it stays with people over and over. It was nominated for Best Picture, understandably why it was nominated. It's just a fantastic movie. It definitely brought back Disney into the stream with this. So yes, it absolutely gets on the board.
And with that, Beauty and the Beast is the first movie to make the consideration list in record time. All right. Just a quick thought, though, from myself. I mean, yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast. That you can't talk about the Disney Renaissance without talking about Beauty and the Beast. Great movie, great music. I mean, it's got to make this list. Dominic, a quick thought. Would you have voted differently, or you're with everybody on here?
All right, so I already know this is going to cause some controversy, but I am not the biggest Beauty and the Beast fan to begin with. I rewatched this movie a couple months ago, right when the live-action one came out, and it did not stick with me the way that everybody else did. For what the film did and for the cultural impact that it has, I certainly understand why it makes this list and why everybody enjoys this movie as much as I did. But for me personally, those elements of Stockholm Syndrome that unfortunately are very apparent in the film still ring a little bit too close to home for me, not from anything in my personal life, but just I feel like that's not exactly the best message to show for kids. And I just feel like in terms of what the film was able to do in terms of Disney's renaissance in the 90s, I feel other later films were able to do some of those themes much better. So for those reasons alone, I would not have voted for it.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, so we're moving on. Let's go ahead and go to Andrew next. Andrew, what movie would you like to nominate to be on the consideration list?
I mean, one of the ones that I wanted to immediately talk about was Beauty and the Beast, but the second one I wanted to talk about was The Little Mermaid. I think this it's just one of the most iconic movies, and has I like the character of Ariel a lot and her relationship with her father and how she wants to, do more, and how she just doesn't want to be stuck in the water. And it does have some of the greatest songs and most recognizable songs in Disney.
All right, so Little Mermaid is on the table. Dominic, since your vote did not count last time, what do you think? Does Little Mermaid make the consideration list?
Now, I'm not the biggest Little Mermaid fan, but I certainly do. I enjoyed that movie very, very much when I was young, and growing up and watching it now, it is another one of those movies that I enjoyed very, very, very much. The songs and the score by Alan Menken still rings true to this day, and so for that reason, yes, I would absolutely put Little Mermaid on the board.
All right, so that's 2 votes for Little Mermaid. I'll go ahead and go next and say this one was hard because Little Mermaid, out of all of them, is not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite of the Disney Renaissance era, to be totally honest. However, it started it. This is the movie that is considered the start of the Disney Renaissance. So it's hard to deny that, and it's hard to deny the impact that it did have, what it started. And just like Andrew and Dominic said, its entertainment value is still there. The songs are fantastic. And like how Jeremy mentioned earlier, how Beauty and the Beast got a live stage, so did Little Mermaid. It had that power. They still plan to do a live-action remake of that. Granted, they plan to do a live-action remake about a lot of these movies we're probably going to be talking about. But so, yeah, I mean, I got to say, Little Mermaid at least deserves the consideration to be in the top 5. So with that, Little Mermaid does make it. Real quick, Jeremy, would you have gone differently? What do you think about Little Mermaid?
I always tell a story that when I was a kid, I had a choice to go to the theater to see one of 2 movies, either All Dogs Go to Heaven or The Little Mermaid. And we chose All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I still regret it because The Little Mermaid's great. I like All Dogs too, but I really wish I could have seen Little Mermaid in the theater, and yeah, that would be a yes for me.
All right, and Cody, how about you? Would you have voted differently?
No, absolutely. I think there's 4 titans of the Renaissance, and this is definitely one of them, and it started it. So with the music and the story behind it, and even what they were able to pull off in it, absolutely, it would have been on the list for me.
All right. Well, speaking of those 4 titans, Cody, it is your turn. Are you going to bring up another one of those titans, or are you going in a different direction?
In my eyes, there's one titan. It is my favorite movie of all time. Every time somebody brings it up, over rewatchability, songs, the amount of emotion it can draw out of you in such a short amount of time, the father-son relationship, the kind of scary elements, just everything about it. It's my favorite movie. It's The Lion King, 1994. The one I had to be on because it was the end year of this one. If not, I would have put in the other one. But The Lion King it's done so much from just what it did on screen. It's come back numerous times. They're trying to do a live action of it. That's not live action. That's National Geographic with songs. But and the Broadway musical, we brought them up, and still one of the most highest grossing running musicals of all time. So Yes, this is my vote, Lion King.
All right, Lion King's on the table. Jeremy, are we going to keep this trend going of obvious choices, or are you thinking differently?
Well, I will tell you one thing. When I was Lion King came out when I was 15, and I remember when it hit the theaters, I for whatever reason had a bad attitude. I was like, "This isn't as good as Aladdin. This isn't as good as the other movies." I was like the angry, sullen teenager saying this movie's not as great. But obviously, watched it many times since then. Seen it so many times, and have obviously reassessed and come to realize, I think this movie's in the talks for maybe the greatest Disney film of all time. I think this movie does everything that a Disney classic should and can do, and is an absolute masterpiece. So yes, despite being a dummy at the time, it is a great film, and it's a yes.
All right, let's go ahead to that's 2 for Lion King. Andrew, does Lion King make the list?
Yeah, I think this is one of the greatest just movies ever made.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm kind of upset that they didn't start the Best Animated Oscar until like 2001, because I feel like this deserved some more recognition, even though it was recognized for its score and its song. It just, as a movie as a whole, I think it should have been recognized.
All right, well, absolutely. And with that, Lion King makes the list. Dominic, your quick thoughts. Where would you have been on Lion King?
So I have a couple obvious thoughts on this movie. It's my favorite Disney animated movie of all time. But so this is the thing. This is going to be my 2 cents on this movie. So Hans Zimmer has been nominated how many times for an Oscar for Best Original Score? Right, tons of times. Right, almost every Christopher Nolan movie that he's done scores for. This is the movie that won him his Oscar. That friggin' score for Lion King. That will be all I say.
Very deserved, by the way.
Very.
No, I mean, like, the songs in The Lion King are fantastic.
Yeah.
People don't talk about the score enough.
Yeah,
the score
they
is
really
just
don't.
as
Like,
great
it's
as the
very,
songs.
very not talked about enough score. Like, whenever they talk about anything with Hans Zimmer, it's always, Inception, any of the Dark Knight movies. Like, they always talk about the Nolan movies, but they always seem to forget that, like, Lion King was really, like, I would say his first, like, major, big, grandiose score. And that score really does help to sell the overall grand, epic feeling that you get. And the fact that you get that from a Disney animated movie, too, really just shows the power that that film has.
All right, so, and for me, I mean, Lion King, once again, obvious choice. It's definitely one of the best Disney movies out there. I mean, it gets me every time I watch it. I mean, that scene when Simba finds Mufasa lying there still gets me every time. Like, I just want to cuddle up that little cub and tell him it's going to be okay. You're going to be king. We got to fight your uncle though, but it's okay. And it's one of those great movies. Once again, an obvious choice. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to Dominic next. Dominic, are we going to give the last obvious choice of this list, or are you going to be the first one to take it in a different direction?
I'm going to be the first one to take it in a different direction because, so just a little something about myself. I love all these Disney animated movies, and I love the obvious choice just as much as everybody else. But I'm also the guy that likes to give a shout out to the little guy. Some of the Disney movies that aren't as talked about. That's why my choice that I'm going to nominate is a little film from the early 80s, which is a decade that for the most part Disney would like to forget about. But this movie, I remember seeing it when I was really little, and I was shocked by how much emotion I got from this movie. And it really is a simple story, too, when you think about it. That's why my choice is 1981's The Fox and the Hound.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I'm just going to let you go first.
You stole my thunder, man. That was my next one. All right. I've talked about this movie a lot, in these circles. This is one of the most emotionally powerful movies ever made. Like you said, it's a simple story, but unlike most Disney films, which there's a villain, there's a good guy, there's a battle of good and evil, that this movie is one of the rare films that is not about that. This movie is about the simple, like, hard truths of life. And one of the hard truths of life is that you'll have friends and people that you connect with in your life. And then for whatever reason, see, I'm already crying every time I talk about this movie. Those people come into your life, and then for whatever reason, life has to take you away from those people, and you can't have the same relationship that you had with them. And they tell that so beautifully through the story of this young fox and this young hound. They're friends, but obviously they're mortal rivals. The hound is his owner is a hunter, so he's trained to hunt foxes. So these two are going to be torn apart by life, and it's just like that's a wonderful metaphor for if you have a friend and you're from different types of the sides of the tracks, or maybe you have religious differences, or whatever it is in life. It can mean any number of things. It's going to pull you apart from that person. You go separate ways, but that doesn't mean that relationship doesn't still matter or doesn't still resonate or have an important impact in your life and in life in general. And it's such a beautiful, sweet movie. I think the songs are underrated, and the voice performances, Kurt Russell, Mickey Rooney, a lot of great talent there. For me, it is definitely one of the most underrated and important Disney films that I think is more remembered now than it was previously. I think it's got a following now. So it's a yes.
But tell me how you really feel about the movie, Jeremy.
Sorry. I'll try not to wax on so much with every movie. It's hard for me with that one.
Like I said, I know with you in that movie, I totally understand. So let's go ahead and go to Cody next. Cody, does Fox and the Hound make the consideration list?
This movie is starry, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is one of my childhood favorite movies. This is probably my first Disney movie I ever watched. My mom used to tell me that I went around trying to kill the bad guy in the movie, the hunter guy that makes
Amos Slade.
Yeah, get rid of Tom. Gosh, just everything about this movie. It does not get enough attention. It's definitely underrated in a Disney movie. But yes, I have to agree with them. It was going to be one of my next picks, but yeah, Fox and the Hound definitely makes the list.
All right, and with that, Fox and the Hound gets on the consideration list. Quick thoughts from me. Oh, God, that scene where she leaves him in the forest. I can never watch that movie again. I really
It's
can't.
tough.
I watched it once as a child, and because of that scene, I can never watch that movie again. It is too heart-wrenching. It's the pit of my stomach. It's almost Avengers Infinity War bad. And that was pretty bad.
Wow.
It's not even the only sad scene in that movie either.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
Not even close.
But I mean, like I said, is it in my top 5? We'll worry about that later, but it definitely deserves the consideration for how underrated it is. Andrew, your quick thoughts. Would you have voted differently?
No. I mean, if you would have came to me first, I would have said no. But after hearing what Jeremy had to say, I would have said yes because he just convinced me. So,
and that is why we went to Jeremy first on this one.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, so it comes to my turn. And now I'm at the predicament where do I go with the last obvious choice or do I keep the trend going of trying to get something different on there? And you know what? I'm going to follow Dominic's lead and throw something else out there. I'm not going to throw the next obvious one out there. I'm going to throw out my favorite, absolute favorite Bronze Age Disney movie that I don't know what about it, but every time I watch it, it warms my heart. And that is The Aristocats. I don't know what it is about this movie. I love kittens. I hate cats. I adore kittens. That's probably why I love this movie. I mean, that one alone, its music is underrated. I mean, those songs are so, they may not be as iconic as most Disney songs, but when you hear them, you can't help but hum and sing along. Everybody wants to be a cat. Thomas O'Malley, your scales and your arpeggios. I mean, it's just an adorable movie to watch. It's fun. And it's one of those last movies that you really had the core Disney team. After Disney's was gone, before a lot of his core team, like the Sherman Brothers, started getting booted out, before the company started getting rid of Disney's favorite people, that was one of the last movies a lot of those people worked on. And I think they did a fantastic job with it. The watercolor effects that they added to it is one of my favorite things about it. So I think it at least should be considered for the top 7. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Andrew first. Andrew's vote didn't count last time. So Andrew, do you think the Aristocats should be considered for the top 5?
How many do we already have, by the way?
We have 4. Everyone,
four. Okay.
So far, every movie everyone has brought up has been voted on.
All right.
I'm gonna have to go with no on this one because while I do really like it, there's just yeah. But there's just ones that I feel like deserve it over this one. And while the numbers, we already got 4 and we don't have that many spots left, there's just more movies I'd rather see there than the Aristocrats. Cats.
Hey, that's fine. It's got to happen like that. So that's one no and one yes. So I'll go ahead and go to Dominic next. Dominic, does Aristocats make the list?
All right, this one's gonna be another tough one so I remember watching this movie a lot when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it a hell of a lot when I was a kid. But when I rewatched it I don't remember if it's a couple months ago or a year ago when it went on Netflix, and I gotta say, I did not get the same kind of emotions watching it again. I thought there were a lot more slapstick elements that didn't really make the tone of that movie feel consistent at all. Agreed, the songs are extremely catchy for that era of a Disney movie, but some of the characters just don't feel as fleshed out as they could be. It definitely feels like a movie that's dedicated a lot more to scenery than it is to actual character depth and really like raw emotion. Especially probably the worst part about it is that bad guy plot, because it's like, because here's the thing is, and the ultimate flaw of that movie is that the bad guy is completely justifying what he's doing, because if you think about it, he's like, yeah, this mad old lady is giving her vast fortune to her cats, her entire mansion, which he has slaved away his entire life for, and she's giving it to her cat. So, and then they portray him as evil as he is. So I just feel like there's something a little bit flawed in that logic. So for that reasoning, I got to go no on the Aristocats.
All right, that's fine. So that's 2 no and 1 yes so far. Jeremy, please save me.
First thing I want to do is I actually want to argue on that point. I love that about that movie, that if you think about it, it's actually the villain is kind of the hero because he's just a guy who's worked his butt off for this lady his whole life, and she's given the money, the fortune that he should get to the cat. So it's like, you know, I love that twist where it's like you could it's kind of like the Karate Kid thing where they say Daniel was the real villain. Like you could look at it the other way around where
so it's a mute situation.
Yeah, Edgar is the real hero. But in any case, it's a lovely movie. It was actually my mom's favorite animated movie, so it'll always have a place in my heart there. Wonderful supporting characters, great songs. It's just, I'm sorry, RJ, there's a couple others there that I gotta leave room for. So unfortunately, I'm so sorry, buddy. I got because you brought one up to me that I had forgotten about. Unfortunately, that really has to get a spot. So I'm really sorry. I got to say no, but it's a wonderful movie, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. Scatman Crothers does the voice of a cat. You can't beat that. It's a fun film.
I know which one you got rid of it. I'm coming after you for it later. I just want you to know that. So with that, Aristocats does not make the list, and the streak of RJ never getting his first choice on the list continues.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Cody, would you have voted every differently? Your face tells me no. Your face tells me I shouldn't have even said it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. There's stuff to enjoy about this movie. A little known fact about me is I'm really, really like deathly allergic to cats. So
Same
I have
here.
a bad effect to this movie about them singing, because if cats sang around me, they would be like in my house, and then I would die from them. So, but I'm with Jeremy on the thing that I don't find it. I mean, that's what I kind of like about the movie, that they the weird aspect about giving the money to the cats. Like that's, you know, so he is not justified. That is not how to do.
Those cats are going to live like 5-10 more years, and then he gets the money. Like, everyone is forgetting that. His math makes no sense.
He's been waiting for so long to inherit that money, and now he's got to wait for those cats. Cats can live 20 years.
I've been driven a little nuts by the fact that cats
Take it from the cats. He can take it from the cats.
Thank you. Like, he could have just taken it from the cats, but she was gone.
That's true.
But anyways, hold on. Let me get something out of the way real quick. Baby.
What?
So they knocked off Aristocats.
I heard that.
Yeah, they're a bunch of jerks.
We're jerks. I'm sorry.
All right, so
Wish it was a top 10.
I'm sorry, I went tangent. We're going to keep it going. But luckily, we still have made it through half the list for our first roundabout. So just to remind everybody, we have Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, Lion King, and The Fox and the Hound. We have a lot of those in here, which, as anybody knows, that means in RJ's world, those will all go under T. But we're going to go back to Jeremy. So, Jeremy, once again, we have the question. Are we going to keep the trend of going off the beaten end, or are we going to get that last kind of obvious movie in there?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to leave the obvious one for someone else, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up you know what? I'm actually going to do my other pick. This is a movie that For whatever reason, it was always my cousin's favorite. I had female cousins, and they were not into the princess stuff at all. And this was always their favorite Disney movie. And whenever I went to their house, we watched it. And I watched it a lot as a kid as well. And I just think it's just one of the most fun, upbeat, just enjoyable Disney films. And it's one of the best adaptations of the source material, in my opinion. And that is 1973's Robin Hood. I think it's just such a fun movie. It's got a little bit of a country edge to it, which is kind of funny, but it's medieval England. And it's got such a great voice cast. You've got Peter Ustinov as Prince John, great character actors like Pat Buntram as the Sheriff of Nottingham, Andy Devine as Friar Tuck. And then you've got a guy named Brian Bedford as Robin. It's such a fun movie. It's one of the ones that, it isn't that serious. It's kind of the other end from like Fox and the Hound, where you can just kind of unwind and have fun with a good, fun, freewheeling movie. It's got some good music, some good kind of actiony scenes in it, and it's just it's a great movie from that earlier period when you get kind of a different flavor of what Disney movies kind of used to be, not the big kind of movies we get now where everything's very polished. It was a little looser, it was a little easier going, and it's such a fun movie. So I nominate Robin Hood.
All right, Robin Hood's on the table. I'm gonna go first.
Here we go.
I hate you. We talk
Sorry,
about
buddy.
this movie way too much. Yes, this movie gets an absolute yes. So underrated.
Yay.
Just like he said, one of my favorite adaptations of the source material of Robin Hood itself. It's such a short story, yet so much fun and so by the book when it comes to Robin Hood. But Disney just found a way to make it fun. And I mean, you can't. Something about oh God, what's his name? They'll help me out.
Which character?
Little John. He also plays Baloo.
Oh, Phil Harris.
Phil Harris.
Yeah.
Something about Phil Harris playing a bear always warms my heart.
Oh yeah.
And especially when he does the exact same dance scene he does in Jungle Book in this movie.
And he was also Thomas O'Malley.
A little bit of input to that, but I'll let you guys finish.
Yeah, he was also Thomas O'Malley. They took a lot of the draw scenes from Aristocats as well. So that was, but yeah, I mean, this movie, I think it's good recycled fun. It's an obviously recycled Disney movie, but it's fun. They made a good, fun movie out of it. I think a lot of people have this in their collection and don't forget how much it is, but I can always put it on and have a good time because of the music and the story. So I'm going to say yes to Robin Hood. We'll go to Cody next since his vote didn't count last time. Cody, does Robin Hood make the list?
The people in the chat would say that you're wrong with it being underrated. They're saying it's overrated, but I disagree with them, except for Paul. This movie is great. I love this movie. It's one of those childhood that I can still pop into this day. That opening song is still it gets stuck in my head from time to time. I can't think of the name of the song, but it's just such a catchy song, such a interesting. Do you mean the whistle, or do you mean the Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest? Both, I guess. I don't. Yeah,
runs together a little.
Yeah,
it runs. But yes, just overall, this movie's so carefree, so much fun. It's definitely underrated to me, and it would have been my next nomination. So me and Jeremy are on the same page. So.
All right, so with that, that's it for that. Robin Hood definitely makes the list. Dominic, you look like you were dying to say something. What would you have said?
No, and it's funny because it's going to be the least expected thing that any of you would probably expect, but I have never seen this movie. This is one of the few Disney movies that I have never, ever seen. I always saw commercials for it when I was younger because they would always have the trailers whenever I would pop in Jungle Book to watch it because this and Jungle Book were out around the same time. But yeah, this is one of the few Disney original animated movies that I've never seen. This and The Black Cauldron.
Oh, wow.
So that technically would have been a no vote for that since he didn't say it. But Andrew, where would you have lied?
I would have voted yes for this one.
Okay, so either way, that was a resounding yes for that one. All right, so we move on back to Andrew. Andrew, you're next. What is the next movie you think should be up for consideration?
Get it out of the way.
There are only 2 spots left.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'll put Aladdin up there.
Okay.
I mean, you have one of the most iconic characters in the Genie with probably the best voice performance by Robin Williams, and just the whole story how someone who comes from nothing can be something, and how he could just just Aladdin is someone I could always get behind. So I mean, it's iconic for a reason.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and go to Dominic next. Dominic, does Aladdin make this list?
100% yes. This was one of the go-to movies for me as a Disney kid growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, those songs, You've Got Never Had a Friend Like Me, oh my God, the Prince Ali Baba, or whatever the name of that. Yeah, Prince Ali. Oh my, like, how could you forget any of those songs? Like I said, Robin Williams, but also I'd like to give a shout out to, what is the guy's name that voices Jafar? Is it Jonathan Hyde or is it another guy? Because I want to say it's actually the same guy who has a voiceover in Netflix's Troll Hunters, which is which is a show that I'm very, very into right now. But that's a great villain performance, probably one of the best that Disney's ever done. It's so catchy, it's so interesting, and it has such a modern feel for such a classic feeling story. So 100% Aladdin, absolutely.
All right, so that's 2 votes for Aladdin. So let's go ahead and go to Jeremy next. Jeremy, what do you think? Is this another obvious choice for us?
Yeah, I actually think it's very possible that this is the one that I watched the most. Like, it's just perfection. Like, this movie from beginning to end is so fun, so great. It's got everything you could ever want. And I think particularly for, like, the boys, I think this is probably, like, the favorite Disney movie up there with The Lion King, where, you know, this is everything you want in a fun adventure sort of movie. And it's an animated film. And it's just got everything you could ever want, especially the humor with Robin Williams and why am I blanking on Gilbert Gottfried? And there's so much great stuff in there. And yeah, I saw this one in the theater with my dad, and then it was on constant rewatch for me. So it's way up there.
All right, so with that, Aladdin easily makes the list. Cody, your thoughts real quick on Aladdin?
Yeah, I would have made it a yes vote. I still think it has like one of the most overrated songs in Disney music.
Oh, don't even say it.
Oh,
I just can't.
A Whole New World is great. Come on.
Maybe it's overplayed for me. Like, I hear it too many times, but I think it's way
Cody,
overrated.
much shock everyone, but I kind of agree with you. Whole New World is not my favorite song.
That movie.
It's like not a Kuna Matata fan. It's overplayed. It's just overrated to me. The song's not that great to me, but I would have definitely voted it on. It's right up there with The Lion King for me.
I mean, yeah, like everyone is saying, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, for those 2 things about the song, I mean, we know who's not going to be on when we eventually do top 5 Disney animated songs. We know who's not going to be automatically disqualified for that. But
as somebody with a different opinion,
as for Aladdin making this list, the only thing I can say is I could die from a heart attack from that surprise.
Yeah, right.
But so all right, so Cody, there's 1 spot left. It is your turn. Do you have the movie that should be the last one to make the consideration list?
There's one. There's one.
Well, I play Full Metal 5 a little different than most because I like to throw on something that if it gets on, then I'm okay with kicking it off. That's just who I am because everything that I had written down is list. So I'm going to go with Oliver and Company.
Sorry, I have family over there. Just about.
That's
again, it may not be everyone's favorite. When I was a kid, I watched it. I thought it was very fun. Why Should I Worry is one of those my favorite songs from Disney. So, and is one of my favorite singers. So I just think it's an interesting pick for the last one. I would like to hear everybody's opinion on it. But yeah, that's my last nomination.
Oliver and Company's on the list. I'm going first. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, this movie makes the list. I don't know what it is with me and Disney cats, but Disney cats just get me. But just what he said, I mean, Why Should I Worry is probably my absolute favorite Disney song. Nobody talks about it enough. Billy Joel just killed that song. And then, of course, also Huey Lewis, the beginning, Once Upon a Time in New York City.
Yeah.
Talk about another heart-wrenching scene. Man, when all those other cats are getting picked and Oliver isn't, I'm like, I want you, orange cat. Please come home with me. Don't get washed away in the storm. I love you. I want you. I mean, and it's a nice retelling of Oliver. I mean, if nobody caught on to that,
Oliver
there's
Twist.
Megan. Yeah, like Oliver Twist. If nobody caught on to that, I mean, the Artful Dodger, Megan, Sykes. Like, come on. And unless you actually never read the book, come on.
Yeah.
But like he said, the music is great. It's that movie, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it is the last movie before the Renaissance.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like,
Yep.
why is this not considered in that? In my opinion, I'm like, this should be considered as part of the Renaissance because I think they did a fantastic job with it. And then shout out to one of Cheech Marine's first stays in a Disney movie because him as Tito is one of the most hilarious things ever. Him as the little Chihuahua is one of my favorite side characters in Disney of all time. So yeah, I mean, definitely a yes vote for that. So Andrew, does Oliver and Company take the last spot on this list?
Keep in mind, it's the last spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes because this is.
Oh my God.
I think that I love this movie, and I agree with everything that you guys are saying. So.
Oh my God! So probably going to be the upset of the night. Oliver and Company makes
we're
the
all
list
dead.
and takes the last spot.
I know what Jeremy was going to say.
Yeah, we're all going to be murdered.
We're probably, me and Jeremy would like to take this time to publicly apologize to our admin Harley. He really wanted Winnie the Pooh on here.
The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. It's an absolute classic. It's one of the greatest Disney films of all time. So Zach Ford, Harley, everybody, we're sorry. It just, we got carried away with our movies, and it just happened, and it's just the structure of the show. So we do apologize.
We will probably consider this another Jingle All the Way incident. By many people, this will be considered that.
This company's not that bad.
It's Oliver and Company's great. I love Oliver and Company. It's just, whatever it happened. Winnie the Pooh didn't make it to the cut. It just didn't get brought up in time. It happens in the show. I just, this was love. We love all these movies. It wasn't because we hate Winnie the Pooh. We're not evil villains that are killing your dreams. It just happens sometimes, and we love that film, and it's just gonna have to be an honorable mention for today.
All right. But Dominic, since Jeremy kind of said how he feels, your thoughts on Oliver and Company real quick, like how you feel about it?
I only have one thing to say to all the people who are complaining about why Oliver and Company is on this list. Why should I worry?
Exactly.
It's a great fucking song. I love that goddamn movie. I'm so happy that made this on the list because I put it fun fact, this movie in 1988, if I'm not mistaken, came out the same weekend as The Land Before Time. Now, while I consider The Land Before Time to be a better movie, I still think that saying that this is a bad movie by comparison is very, very unfair because I think for what this movie is at the time that it came out, with just that sort of heartwarming feeling you can get, and also doing, in my opinion, a better version of the Oliver Twist story than the actual Oliver Twist movie that came out in the 60s did. That, for me, is all the reason I need for why this movie should absolutely make this last spot on the list. Hell yeah.
Oh, bad. So it probably wouldn't even come down to it. All right. So we are at the end of round one. And to remind everybody, the top 7 movies we have selected are Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, The Fox and the Hound, Robin Hood, Aladdin, and Oliver and Company. I dropped all that popcorn. I apologize. All right, so we move on to round 2. This is where it's going to get hard. In this next round, we are going to go around the table again, keeping with the order. And this time you're going to nominate one of these 7 movies that you think does not make the top 5. Now, who recommended Oliver and Company? I'm sorry, I lost track.
Cody.
Okay, Cody did. So that actually leads it to Dominic. You are the first one. Out of these 7 movies, which one do you think does not belong in the top 5?
Try to do something realistic, by the way. Try to do something that we're actually going to agree with you on.
Right, that's the thing, because I'm going to go the most unrealistic choice, because like I said, one of these choices, I agree with you guys for almost every single one of these choices, except for one. And it's going to be the one where it's like, everyone is going to come at me and be like, oh my God, like there's no way you can actually think this. And I'm sorry, I got to go Beauty and the Beast. I don't think Beauty and the Beast deserves to be on the same caliber or level that any of these other movies do. I feel like the only reason why people have such fond memories for this movie is for helping to kickstart the Disney Renaissance, for being the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. And I do agree that the animation is pretty, but I don't find the songs to be that memorable. The live action remake definitely did help to tarnish it, but I already had a lot of these feelings for this movie before I even saw the trailers for the live action movies. That is why I'm sorry, Beauty and the Beast I feel does not deserve to be anywhere near any of these other movies. So come at me, people, come at me.
I mean, this is going to be one of those. This is going to be one of those times where I'm going to break the rules. Show of hands. Who disagrees with Dominic?
Disagrees?
Yeah. Okay. So that ends that debate. Beauty and the Beast is safe.
I don't mind the underdog here. It's just I don't mind to share my opinion when it's different from the majority.
No problem.
I just want to point out that he is fulfilling the Luca Fallon role today.
All right. So with that, Beauty and the Beast is the first movie to be safe and will for sure be in the top 5. It comes to me. Oh man, I'm gonna lose some friends here today. And by some, I mean Jeremy.
I don't think so. Go for it. Oh, no. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, because I'm looking at these movies that are for sure. It's once again those things where, like, there's some here that, like, there's no way they're going to get knocked off. So looking at the ones that will, I got to go with the one that I've only seen one time, and that is The Fox and the Hound. I'm sorry. I understand why people love it. And I do appreciate it for what it is, but I have more fun with every other single movie on here. So if I'm looking at a top 5, the 5 movies I'm going to watch, Fox and the Hound is not in that running. So I'm going to have to nominate it. But Jeremy, go ahead.
They can't all be fun and games, buddy. You know, you need a movie that's a little more serious, a little more emotionally powerful. Sometimes it stays.
All right. Andrew, does Fox and the Hound stay?
Fox and the Hound. I'm gonna go with yes because it's just there are 2 on there that I just don't agree with them being in the top 5. So
yeah.
No problem. All right. So Cody, does Fox and the Hound stay?
Oh, I see RJ's point where the ones that I know for sure won't get kicked off. But before I went in here, I had a list, and I numbered them. And all of the ones I wanted on my list made this 7 list. So I have to go with a cutoff, but Fox and the Hound made the top 5.
Yay!
So I say no.
All right, so with that, Fox and the Hound is the second movie. Will definitely be in the top 5. Next, we go back to Jeremy. Jeremy, what movie do you think should not make the top 5?
Look, I'm going to put out a movie that is a great film and an absolute classic, but it's also, when you put it with some of the other movies, there's a little bit of overlap. There's a little bit of redundancy. I want to have some representation for some of the older movies on the list for just for that sake alone. I'm not saying it's not a great movie, but just to kind of keep some diversity in this list, I'm going to nominate The Little Mermaid. I'm going to nominate The Little Mermaid to save room for the other Renaissance films. I'm going to say this one just doesn't quite make it there. It's nothing against it. I love the movie. I've seen it 100 times. I'm just to kind of mix it up and try to have a little reflection of the full period. I'm going to go ahead and pull that one out.
All right. So Little Mermaid is on for discussion. Dominic, does Little Mermaid stay or does it go?
This one's a little bit of a conundrum for me because on the one hand, there are a lot of films in there that I feel there are some films in there that I would want to take off before. Like if I know that'll leave some other choices in there, stay in there, but oh man. Yeah, I gotta say keep it in only because for that film is just too important because without that movie you don't get Beauty and the Beast, you don't get Aladdin, you don't get Lion King, you don't get any of the other fantastic films that helped kick off the Disney Renaissance. Disney needed that movie right as they were like they sort of made their comeback with Oliver and Comedy, but Little Mermaid is really the one that they cemented. Does that movie have problems? Absolutely. I don't find it to be perfect. The animation obviously isn't as on point as it could be for at the time. It's still the songs, the themes, the characters. It's too perfect. So I say keep Little Mermaid in.
All right, so that's 1 and 1 for each one. I'll go next by saying I actually agree with Jeremy. I kind of feel like the movies we have it's a good representation of this entire decade or this entire era that we're going through, rather than just focusing on the Renaissance. But if I had to throw someone from the Renaissance under the bus, it is The Little Mermaid. And believe me, it started it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I completely recognize it for that, what it started. But we also heard my opinion on, there's another movie on this list that I think should have been considered the start of it because of how entertaining I found it. So if I want to actually get a real good mix of movies I enjoy, on this list, I watch every other single movie on this list more, except obviously Fox and the Hound. Every other movie on this list, I watch way more than The Little Mermaid. So I'm actually going to agree with Jeremy that Little Mermaid should go. So that is 2 for 2. Let's go to Cody next. Cody, does Little Mermaid stay or does it go?
I really wish you wouldn't ask me that question.
I know it was tough to nominate it, but we got to make these decisions.
I went in with a list and I pre-numbered them, and I'm going with that. So on that basis, and it probably when I was born, what I grew up on. So I have to say it does not get removed. I have to put Mermaid on.
All right, so that is 2 and 2. So Andrew, for the first time tonight, we have the man that nominated it. It comes down to you. You nominated it for consideration, but does it stay in the top 5?
I mean, I nominated it for a reason. It is one of my favorites, not just in this era, just of all time. And I'm gonna say yes, it stays.
All right.
All right, so with that, Little Mermaid is safe. Will definitely be in the top 5. So, and Andrew, it is actually your turn. What movie would you like to nominate?
And it's funny because I'm the person who voted yes to have this one on, but I am going to say Oliver and Company because I just think out of these 7, it is the weakest.
Okay, that's fine. All right, Oliver and Company is back on the chopping block. Let's go ahead and, well, actually, because we went through everybody last time, so we can kind of go to whoever. I'll go ahead and take this one because as much as it breaks my heart, I have to agree. Like, there's just of what's left, it's kind of no question. As much as I love Oliver and Company, it just does not hold a candle to these other movies that can possibly be eliminated if we keep it. So I'm going to have to agree with Andrew and say that Oliver and Company has to go. I love you, Oliver. Believe me, I do. I would adopt you in a second. All right, let's go ahead and go to Dominic next. Dominic, does Oliver and Company stay or does it go?
Yeah, as much as I love this movie, I gotta knock it down. This movie goes because just like I said, as much as I love this movie, there are other Disney movies that did better things, and compared to some of these other ones, it definitely has a lot of aspects that make it weaker. A couple slapsticky elements, maybe not necessarily as many grandiose and relatable themes. A couple of dumb moments, a couple of dumb side characters like that friggin' dog Georgette. When he gets adopted by the little girl, she is ingratiating. Who voiced her? Was that
Bette Midler? Bette Midler.
Bette Midler. That's right. Yeah. So just for a few elements, like don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this movie. I think it is 100% underrated. But compared to some of these other movies, it's gotta go. Sorry, yeah. Oliver.
And with that, Oliver and Company is officially off the list. It's so hard to say goodbye. Jeremy, I mean, real quick, would you have voted any differently, or?
I would have had to have taken it off. I just want to say I saw this one in a double feature at the drive-in with Beetlejuice.
Ooh, that actually does not sound like a. That actually sounds like a really good double
great
feature.
memory. I love that movie. We gotta make some cuts. But I love all these movies. I'm a Disney fan. What can I say?
Okay. And Cody, would you have voted any differently as well?
No, it has to go. That's how I play Full Metal. I have to throw in something that's easy to cut. So I didn't expect it to make the list actually, but when it did, it's easy to cut.
All right, there you go. So with that, Oliver and Company officially off the list. And Cody, it is now your turn. One movie is gone. 3 movies remain. Which one of these 3 does not make the top 5?
Well, with Fox and the Hound, Little Mermaid, and Beauty and the Beast.
Fox and the Hound's safe.
Yeah,
right.
That's what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Locked in. So the other 2 are the Aladdin and Lion King. I love Robin Hood, but you got to go.
Yeah.
All right. So Robin Hood is on the chopping block. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think my mom would hate me for Aristocats. My cousins would hate me for Robin Hood, but yeah, it's got to go. I mean, we got some of the all-time titans up there, and as much as I love this movie and as much fun as it is, it's not going to make that 5.
All right, and yeah, I'll just end it with it's another heartbreak, but it's got to go. It's Fox and the Hound. Screw that movie. If Fox and the Hound wasn't in there, then we'd be having a different conversation.
True.
But with Fox and the Hound taking one of those drastic spots and the Little Mermaid not getting cut out, that only leaves Robin Hood. So sorry, Robin Hood, you got to go. And with that, Robin Hood is out. Andrew, quick thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was the obvious choice. I mean, it was either this or, Aladdin or The Lion King. I mean, it's no question.
Yeah. And Dominic, same?
Yeah, pretty much same. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie, so there's not exactly that much that I can talk about. But yeah, you're comparing this to some of the all-time titans when it comes to Disney, the Golden Age. Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid. You're like, come on. There's no way. And of course, like I said, I was the one who nominated Fox and the Hound, so no way I'm going to vote against that. Yeah, Robin Hood goes.
All right. So with that, one of the quickest second rounds we've ever had, we have narrowed it down to our top 5 to let the viewers know the top 5 movies in no particular order yet are Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, The Fox and the Hound, and Aladdin. Now, gentlemen, we reach round 3, so grab your whiteboards, your paper pads, grab whatever you do to write with. Make sure you keep those movies in your head of which ones they are. Now, in this third round, we actually rank them. So right now, what I want you to do is write down the movie of what is left that you think should be number 5. All right, let's watch friendships crumble.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to start with the last person who would have voted next. So let's go to Dominic. What do you think number 5 should be?
Again, this is going to earn me a lot of hate. Let me see if you guys can read that. Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, we got it.
That is Beauty and the Beast. All right. I'll go ahead and go next. I said The Fox and the Hound. Jeremy?
The Little Mermaid.
Andrew?
I also put The Fox and the Hound.
And Cody?
Fox and the Hound.
There you go.
And with that, Fox and the Hound is at number 5. So we move on. Now let's go to number 4. Write the movie you think should be number 4.
Some of us are just going to be broken records.
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably, yeah. Like I said, I mean, if you obviously think it should be lower, don't even bother erasing your board. We won't touch you. Sometimes people unnecessarily erase their board.
I do it.
It happens a lot.
RJ. Every time.
Every time.
Times.
All right, I'll go ahead and start off next. I said The Little Mermaid. Jeremy?
The Little Mermaid.
Andrew? Andrew?
Little Mermaid.
Whoa!
That's already it for that. Cody, Dominic, show us real quick what you said.
Little Mermaid.
He did say Little Mermaid, and he still had Beauty and the Beast. Okay, here we go.
Like I said, I'll be the outlier here. I don't mind.
All right, now let's go your number 3. What should the number 3 be? This is where it gets difficult, gentlemen.
I know.
Oh, top 3 is so easy for me.
So easy.
I know what I want. I know what I want is number 1, but
Yeah,
I do know what. I know what I want is number 1, but I think I'm going to fight people about number 2. What number 2 should be. So, all right, everyone seems to be ready. Let's go ahead and start with Jeremy.
Beauty and the Beast.
Andrew.
Beauty and the Beast.
Cody.
Aladdin.
Dominic, did you change?
Now we're finally getting somewhere. Beauty and the Beast.
Finally getting somewhere,
And
buddy.
I also said Beauty and the Beast. So with that, Beauty and the Beast is number 2. All right, gentlemen, this is the last one, and this one changes. You are not voting for number 2.
Oops.
You are voting which one you think should be the number 1 movie of the post-Disney era.
We started in agreement. We're going to end in agreement.
I believe so. I believe this is probably going to be unanimous.
Let's hope. Or I'm walking off. Just kidding.
All right.
Considering
Cody annoyed me earlier, so I'm going to make some changes here.
All right, let's start with Andrew.
I think it's just one of the greatest movies of all time, The Lion King.
Cody?
Nah, Svenja. Lion King.
Dominic
I just can't wait to be king.
and Jeremy, were we any different?
Can you feel the love tonight?
We can feel the love in this room. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are complete. So to run it by for you, the top 5 Disney movies from 1968 to 1994 are as follows. Number 5, The Fox and the Hound. Number 4, The Little Mermaid. Number 3, Beauty and the Beast. Number 2, Aladdin. And the number 1 movie is The Lion King. Whew, that went a lot smoother than I thought.
Yeah, I knew this one would go smoother.
Oh, I'm deeply afraid for the next one that I still have to do. I still have to do one more of these, and this is
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
gonna be.
What does that make the next couple of years? What is that, like 95 to
95
what?
to now.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be suspiciously absent that day.
So
do we get
that one's
honorable
gonna be a tough one.
mentions,
There's a lot of great ones you got there. There's also a lot of stinkers you got.
I mean, we said Winnie the Pooh. Does anyone else have an honorable mention they wanted to throw out there?
One that wasn't mentioned that, I mean, it's not the best, but just one that I really enjoy is The Black Cauldron.
Okay, Cody, any honorable mentions?
No, I made my list of 10, and they pretty much all went in line. So this was a harder like year span because there's clear cut ones and less like low end. So yeah, your next one, I'm glad I'm not on.
Yeah, Dominic.
Okay, so I actually have 2 honorable mentions. Two that I were hoping to bring up that I feel don't get talked about enough. One was The Great Mouse Detective, which is one that I feel is extremely underrated. You talk about how Disney did Robin Hood better than everyone else. I would say that Disney also did Sherlock Holmes arguably better than everyone else. Like, I don't get me wrong, I love the Guy Ritchie Downey Jr. movies, but this movie was it was so good at capturing like all the elements of Sherlock Holmes well in a mouse. And the other one, and this is one that's probably going to shock everybody, specifically because it's actually a sequel.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
Was that?
Preach, brother.
Yeah, right. So, and this one that the honorable mention that I want is actually The Rescuers Down Under, which I find to be a very underrated. Talk about a sequel that manages to take a very mediocre first movie and just go all out with it. Gorgeous animation. I think the relationship between Bernard and Miss, oh my God, what's her name?
Bianca.
The
Miss
female
Bianca.
mouse.
Miss Bianca
is even better in this one. That Australian character, it could have been a really annoying to throw in that third peg and to make that love triangle, but I think it surprisingly worked. The villain, voiced by George C. Scott. Good friggin' God, could that man do any wrong while he was alive?
Great film.
And oh my God, what else? And it's just one of those movies that I feel like is extremely overlooked and does not get talked about enough. So yeah, those would be my 2 honorable mentions.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah, those were my 2 honorable mentions too. Both movies with mice. They're great films. They both incorporated the new art of computer animation into the films. The whole ending sequence in The Great Mouse Detective with the clock tower, and then all of the flying sequences and the truck sequences in Rescuers Down Under. Great use of early computer animation there. And you're wrong. That movie's so much fun. John Candy does a voice in The Rescuers Down Under. Come on, it's so great.
He does.
I also do have a big soft spot for The Black Cauldron. I think that the ending sequence where the army of the dead comes to life is one of the darkest and like coolest sequences in Disney that doesn't get talked about. So, yeah.
Now, my honorable mention, I kind of cheat because unfortunately we were not allowed to put in hybrid movies. But if anything's going to be mentioned for me, Jeremy knows this movie is near and dear to my heart, and its main character is animated, and that's Pete's Dragon. I adore Pete's Dragon to death. The fact that I couldn't talk about it breaks my heart. Just like in classics when I couldn't talk about Three Caballeros. It's, just one of those movies that I just have to mention of how great that movie was.
And if you're mentioning that, I'll mention Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I love that movie as well.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are done for this one. Like I've been saying earlier, how I kind of dread it. There is one more movie left. That is everything else that has been released after The Lion King. We have what people call the post-Renaissance, the 2000s, which, in my opinion, is only not considered great because that's when Pixar rose to power. I feel like Pixar pushed 100%. All of Disney stuff. But then, of course, we have what people either consider the second Renaissance or the revival era, the 2010s to the present day. I will be picking my panel for that shortly. You'll be noted. So thank you for tuning in today. Let me just go through the panel one more time. Andrew, where can the good people find you?
I mean, you can find me on various shows. You find me in There Will Be Trivia. I got a match coming up soon. So
I'm writing it.
yeah.
All right, and Cody, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
I pop up randomly in different trivia leagues. I just did one for the new multiplex, that one, and then you'll catch me on Facebook and then sometimes on Take 3 Reactions, stuff like that. So just look out for me, I guess.
All right, and Dominic, welcome to the club that is Full Metal.
Woo.
Glad to have you on board. Where can
Great
people
job.
find you from now on?
Good to be here. All
Where
right,
can
so
people find you?
yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna be in the match tonight. I don't exactly know who my opponents are yet, but I'm just happy to be included in this whole thing. I was really happy to talk Disney movies with you, just revisit some good moments of my childhood. You can find me on Twitter at Movie Nerd Review. You can also, I have a website where I write actually written reviews for movies as well as a YouTube channel, both under the term of Movie Nerd Review. So if you guys want, you can guys go and check that out. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, and Jeremy, where can the good people find you?
Jeremy Paul Adams on Facebook, Jeremy Paul Adams on YouTube, and at Full Metal Media and Worldwide Movie Games, where we do all our trivia and talk show content.
And of course, pretty much exactly like Jeremy, except change all the names to my name. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me at Worldwide Movie Games. You can find me here at Full Metal Media. And we will see you guys next time for Full Metal 5.